everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have another Star Collecting Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the Star Collecting box for Soulblight Gravelords. Now, first of all, let's get cracking into this box set and talking about what we get exactly in this box set, and then later in the video we'll also talk about how we can expand this box set and also give you a little sample army list to look at on how you can sort of put all the information we talk about in this video together to make a fun and interesting starting out list. Now, for starters, the character model we get in the box set is a White King on Skeletal Steed. This is a mounted Death Rattle hero, and he's got a couple of cool things about him. First of all, he's got a 3-up save base. This is really nice for a death character. A good save on the model means he can really be quite survivable. You know, command points can make him a 2+ save. He's got a decent finest hour when he's going to be wounding on 3s, so it could be 3s and 4s to wound on his attack, 3s and 2s rather on his attacks. And he can also be, you know, a 2-up save during his finest hour. So all nice stuff there. He also does some mortal wounds when he charges, and he's also got a cool command ability that allows him to pick a friendly Death Rider unit wholly within 12 inch with him, and they can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons in the combat phase. Really nice. Any model that can give rerolls nowadays for one of their command abilities is really good in my books. Next up, we have the Graveguard, and we get 20 of the models in this. So, Graveguard are our more elite skeletal warrior option. They have a 5-up save base, they've got a movement of 4 and a bravery of 10, with 1 wound each. However, they do get White Blades, which are cool weapons, so 2 attacks, 3 3s, -1 damage, -1 Ren and damage 1. Your pretty stock standard sort of elite troop profile. However, they've also got the option to have a Great White Blade, which gives them 3s but 4s to wound, but Ren 2, damage 1. Both variations have the cursed weapon rule, where if they do a wound roll of a 6, they suffer a mortal wound in addition to any other damage, and the crypt shields, which go with the one-handed variation of the weapon, give the potential to have the Graveguard on a 4+ save as base. Note, this does add 1 to their save roll, so it does mean that unit is unable to ever use a command point to further bonus that save to get better than a 4+ save. With that said, there's a couple of ways to look at this when you're building your Graveguard. One, you could see that they maybe have the ability to ignore -1 rend if you're going for the Crypt Shields and White Blades. However, for me, I think Graveguard are all offense all the time. I think the ability to be able to use command points on them to give them a +1 save as if they had Crypt Shields is definitely a reason to take the Great White Blades instead of the Crypt Shields and normal White Blades. This means you're going to get the offensive power that you've got, so you're going to get that Ren 2 in there, and you're also going to get that save by being able to use command points, and the save's not going to be necessary when it's not needed. The last unit in the box set we've got is we have some Black Knights. These are sort of your minor cavalry for the Soulblight Gravelords. They're definitely not your best cavalry in the game, but they can do okay. First of all, they've got deadly charge, so they do mortal wounds when they hit. This combines really well with the White King. When he charges with them, you know, he can do 2d3 mortal wounds to an enemy unit that they both charge into together. And they also have just some basic sort of attack profiles. So, Black Knights, just 4s and 3s with their barrel lance, 2 attacks each, no rend and damage 1. And they've got some basic sort of hoof attacks, 4s, 4s, no rend, damage 1 with their mounts. Now, Blackguard really aren't all that much, but what they are is cheaper cavalry options for you. They give you a little bit of speed. 12 inch for death is pretty fast, so definitely something to add to your force here. A good starting set this is to get you well on your way to building up your Soulblight Gravelords. Now, normally in these videos we'll talk about the spells and terrain features, but the Soulblight Gravelords have neither. I mean, that's a little bit of a downside to them. But it also does mean you don't have to purchase those things to get the army up and running, so that's a positive, I guess. Now, let's get looking into some units we can use to expand this army up from the start. Alrighty, so these are the units we've got next. First of all, where to next? So, we're going to suggest in this video that you look at a Legion of Blood army. This is a great sort of all-rounded starting point army, I think, for the Soulblight Gravelords. It doesn't really focus too heavily on any one thing, and actually brings 2 parts together as its main thing. Legion of Blood in general brings together Death Rattle and the vampires together, so that's what we're going to look at in this video. So for starters, vampires are definitely something you're going to want to bring into this army. Now, the Legion of Blood rules do say that the Death Rattle units near any of the units that have the vampire keyword actually get a little bit more to them. So they get the ability to ignore minuses to hit and wound, which is really, really cool. This means you can spend command points and guarantee you're going to get that +1 off with the Feign of Retainers rule. Now, note, they can actually get this benefit from being near Blood Knights, which are a vampiric unit, or they could actually get this from Vargas as well, which are another vampiric unit. So that's pretty cool. It's definitely worth considering some Blood Knights. They work really well in tandem with a Graveguard who can't get the negatives near them, being able to soak up some damage, and potentially the Black Knights go in first, take the Unleash Hell, and then the Blood Knights come in and support. Necromancers are another great option for the army. A big reason I suggest Necromancers is their ability to make your Death Rider units that much more deadly. So for starters, the Necromancer has a really cool spell on their War Scroll called Van Hell's Dance Macabre. What this spell does, it effectively allows you to pick a unit that's already fought and fight with them again, or give a unit effectively 2 fights. This is cool with your Skeleton Warriors, who generally are going to rely on weight of attacks. Same with your Graveguard are going to be fishing for those 6s to do mortal wounds, and your Black Knights, once again, just going in with weight of attacks. A Necromancer is just a great sort of piece that's going to allow you to multiply the effectiveness of any of those Death Rider units, and really double down on the fact that they can't take those negative to hit and or wound. Next up, we've got the Skeleton Warriors and the rest of Death Rattle. Death Rattle obviously is something we're going to want to bring in. You're going to want a splash of vampires around your force, and you're going to want your Death Rattle minions sort of around them like that. I believe this army is probably, with Legion of Blood, the truest sort of form of the Soulblight Gravelords. This is definitely an army with vampires leading Death Rattle units, so it's definitely got that sort of old vampire counts vibe to it. And so you're going to want that splashing of vampires and other characters throughout your army, but you're going to want mostly Death Rattle units filling out your battle line to go do the hard fighting. Now, Skeleton Warriors are nice and cheap. Unlike Graveguard, they don't have any of the mortal wound output potential that they do. They are a lot cheaper and will generally hold a bit better than your Graveguard due to some cool reanimation rules they have. Lastly though, I think one of the pieces you can't not suggest for anyone looking to get into Soulblight Gravelords and especially working with Legion of Blood is Neferata. This is the Mortarch of Blood, the named character that leads this particular part of the Soulblight Gravelords faction, and she's a pretty cool character. She's got some really good spells, she's a decent wizard, she's not too bad in a fight, and she's even got some cool sneaky abilities like the Jagger of Debt, where if she causes any hits with it, she potentially can auto-kill a ton of models. So some really cool stuff there for Neferata. All of these models, great places to get in addition. I definitely recommend picking up some vampires first to add to your Soulblight Gravelords Star Collecting box. But with that said, let's get looking into a little sample army list I've put together and let's see how it all works together. And so this is a little sample army list we've put together for the Soulblight Gravelords. As mentioned throughout the video, we're going to be looking to build this into the subfaction Legion of Blood. This is going to give us a couple of different abilities, one of them being the Honoured Retainers rule, where they're going to get the ability to know Death Rider units around any of our vampiric units are going to suffer -2 penalties to hit or wound. And we're also going to get the ability where our vampire units are going to cause more models to flee from battle shock if they're near the vampire units. So, with that, we've gone our White King on Skeletal Steed. He's going to be our general. He's going to have the command trait Skilled Leader. This is one of the generic command traits from the core rulebook, and it's going to give us a free command point on a 5+ at the start of every one of our turns. So, pretty cool. Extra command points are going to be really useful in this army, especially with the fact that we're not suffering those negatives, so we're going to get a lot more out of them. We're then going to give him the artifact, the Oublit Arcana. Now, this is a really interesting artifact. Once per turn, if our opponent casts a spell, even if successfully cast, and even if we've already attempted to dispel it, so even if we've already attempted to, say, use Heroic Willpower or something like that, we can roll a dice. On a 5+, the spell's ignored. Pretty darn cool, I reckon. This just gives us a lot more magical protection. It's a little bit random, I know, but at these small point values that we're starting out with here, it's going to be a really fun little artifact to have to hopefully give us a little bit more spell protection. Meanwhile, we can always use the White King otherwise to get that Heroic Willpower going as well. Battle line wise, we've gone for 2 units of 10 Graveguard and a unit of 5 Black Knights. Now, the 2 units of 10 Graveguard you could put as 1 unit of 20. You do have the ability to have 1 reinforcement point at 750 points. But I think 2 units of 10 allows us to spread our forces across the board more and just use them sometimes as sacrificial lambs if need be. You can sort of throw them into the enemy, roll a bunch of attacks and get some mortal wounds in there, and then watch them die on the counter attack. The Black Knights, on the other hand, they're generally going to go with our White King on Skeletal Steed, who's also going to pair up with our Blood Knights. So these 3 units here are going to be sort of our main sort of pair, going in being the major thrust for our opponent, and really trying to hit our opponent in their own territory. The Black Knights will definitely be the first unit to charge in at all times. They're going to be the one that take the Unleash Hell if it is a thing we need to worry about, making sure our Blood Knights and the White King on Skeletal Steed can get in there and do the damage they need to do. Now, with that said, the triumph we've gone for, because we're 25 points under with this list, is Bloodthirsty. This is a reroll to a charge once per game. It's definitely something we want with that many cavalry models that we want to be charging. It's exactly what we want to be doing. And then the grand strategy, Predator's Domain. We've actually got a decent amount of units here at 750 points, so I think Predator's Domain, where we have to control more terrain pieces at the end of the game than our opponent, is definitely a good grand strategy for this army to pick. With that though, that's it for our little video and our little chat about Soulblight Gravelords Start Collecting Box in Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your ideas on how to use this Start Collecting Box in 3rd Edition to get started with a Soulblight Gravelords army. Let us know in the comments below what you've been doing with it, how you've been faring with Soulblight Gravelords, and what you've been doing in 3rd Edition with them so far. I'd love to hear from you all. Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also, while you're at it, why not come chat more with us on Discord? We've got a link in the description of the video below to our Discord server. You can come chat with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel in various different ways. First of all, to our Patreon members, Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dyna226. Thank you to, as well, our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeot, Chris Wallace, Turiot12, Vinny, and Locke Lorick. And a special thanks to our artist who does all the channel art for us, Lady Witchfox Art, thank you very much. And to our Discord moderator, Xmorphic, you do a fantastic job on Discord for us as well. Thank you all, everyone, for watching. If you'd like to help support on Patreon or YouTube member, or help support the channel in another way, you can do so by following one of the links in the description of the video to Patreon or YouTube members, or go buy some Sinful Gaming merch from our Teespring store, also linked in the video's description. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.